What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Jake Podger, and it is the first time in a little over a month that I'll be hosting the AFC East Summit show. It's great to be back here with the boys, Keith and Anthony. Very excited. Anthony, I appreciate the name that you put out there for me today. Warms my heart. That's all I got to say. But, guys, it's going to be a good one. We're going to talk about Tua's new contract. We're going to talk a little bit about training camp. And then, of course, with the hype surrounding the new Madden game, which we'll see if it actually lives up to the hype this year, because I feel like we've been waiting, 12 or so years for a Madden game to actually live up to its hype. We had some ratings revealed, not for all the positions, but for some of them. So want to get our reactions on that. More to come right after this. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Very excited to be back here. Again, my name is Jake Podger. I'm the host tonight of the AFC East Summit, joined by Keith, Dolphin Keith, Philly Fins fan Keith, and Mr. Anthony. Welcome back, Jake. Absolutely love it. Boys, I missed you. I missed you both. You guys held down the fort pretty well without me, and I think you did a fantastic job, so shout out to you both. I don't think Chris is joining us tonight. We were just talking about that, so we do not have a Pats rep, but we will make sure that we talk a little bit about some of the Patriots ratings and, just some things that we had heard throughout training camp so far. We're about a week and a half into training camp, and a lot of stuff's been going on. I think the most notable thing for our teams, at least, is the fact that Tua finally signed a monster deal with the Miami Dolphins, and he's locked up there. So I'm going to start with Keith on this one and just get your thoughts here. Little disappointment, little like, hey, I'm glad that's over with. How are we feeling about this, Keith?
Well, first and foremost, Jake, great to have you back, man.
Thanks,
and I'm happy everybody's doing well. Wife, daughter, son, everybody's doing great. So that's awesome. And
Thanks,
we're all really happy for you.
I appreciate it.
Getting into this Tua thing, man. I've been an advocate all off season for, letting this fifth-year option play out. And you play it out, and next off season you franchise him and you negotiate at your own leisure, based on his performance this year, based on his health this year. And there's still things that I felt as though he needed to work on. I needed to see a little bit more. So I'm just gonna say this, and I'm not gonna mince words here. I was wrong. I was wrong, and Anthony was right. Anthony's been, I'm in enough to admit it, but Anthony's been advocating all off season for Tua's good quarterback. Good quarterbacks don't grow on trees. Pay him, and as the contract ages, as the salary cap goes up, as more and more quarterbacks also get paid. For example, Josh Allen isn't going to be making less than Tua indefinitely. That contract's going to look better and better. So, what I didn't expect when the contract was signed, what I didn't expect was I didn't expect the relief that would wash over me to know that this is over, to know that this white elephant that's just been chilling on the sidelines during training camp is gone. This white elephant that's been hanging out in the facility, and he's gone. It's gone. It's over. This saga's over. Tua's the quarterback. Now it's time to get back to the business of winning football games and figuring out how to best maximize the talent on your roster. So, if in week 1 this year, the artist formerly known as Josh Allen, the defensive end for the Jaguars, I don't even know what he's calling himself right now, but I
forgot what he did for that last name. Yeah, I know he hyphenated
Joshua something Allen or Joshua Allen something.
Joshua Allen Hines.
Yes, there it is. So, if he comes screaming off the edge and hits Tua and Tua gets a concussion, Tua never plays another down of football, I will still think that the Dolphins made the right move in extending Tua when they extended him and how they extended him. It's actually as equitable of a contract as the Dolphins were going to get, in my opinion. So honestly, I'm happy, and I was wrong to think that they should drag this out because, man, it's over, and I couldn't be happier. So, Anthony, take a victory lap. You were right. Now, one thing I did want to ask you guys, though, and Anthony, you asked this question last week during our Burning Questions show. You asked me, and Jake, I want to ask you the same question. You asked me, how much of the Dolphins' offensive success do you attribute to Tua, and how much do you attribute to Mike McDaniel? So I never actually asked you that question. I never actually asked that question back to you, Anthony, and I realized I am interested in that answer. So what do you think about that?
I think your answer was something like 50-50.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a fair comparison. I think at most you would tilt it 65 McDaniel, 35 Tua, and I think that would be the least generous interpretation of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tua is in a system that's very favorable to him, but he also has to hit those shots. Sam Darnold's not hitting those shots. Zach Wilson's not hitting those shots. So, do I think other even to the point where you were talking about, well, maybe we'll get rid of him, maybe we'll sign Dak Prescott or something. I don't know that Dak hits some of those shots.
No, I don't know that he does.
So, that being the case, I mean, there's one Tua, and you might be able to replace him with a couple of quarterbacks in the NFL, but I don't think there's that many that you'd be able to replace him with. And I think the number of quarterbacks you'd be able to replace Tua Tagovailoa with is the same number of quarterbacks you're paying $50 million a year to anyway. Yeah. So, a difference that makes no difference is no different.
That's well put, Ant. I agree with you. I think 50-50 is probably right, Keith. I think obviously it's benefited Tua greatly. I mean, he leads the league in passing yards because of Mike McDaniel's system. Also his weapons, of course, too. I mean, he's got some absolute studs to throw the ball to. But I think it has certainly been to his benefit to have a guy like that come in and coach him up a little bit. And obviously he's been able to elevate his career. And it's crazy because, you look at this contract, and I think there is like a half and half reaction. People are excited, but people are also a little weary, of course, because of the injury history. Yeah. And I think that's really it. It's more so the injury history, right? Because you said it. He's the best quarterback that's played for the Miami Dolphins since Dan Marino. Let's face it. Like, you had the 1 year with Chad Pennington where he won Comeback Player of the Year. You thought maybe all was well in paradise, and then that fizzled out real fast. And then Ryan Tannehill, who had a nice stint, but it wasn't great. And it wasn't even to the level of where Tua is at right now. So this is your best quarterback in 20-something years. 25 years, right?
It was always with Tannehill, was always give it one more year. He can do better. Whereas with Tua, he arrived last season. He arrived in the 2022 season, got concussed, but you saw how transformative he was. You saw what he could do for the Dolphins offense that just kick it up a few notches. And then you saw it again last year. What I want to see from Tua this year, and he's paid, so it's not even a matter of well, if he doesn't do this, don't pay him. No, he's paid. But what I want to see this year is I want to see him extend plays within the pocket and outside of the pocket. Maybe scramble for a couple of first downs, sliding, of course, staying safe, and I want to see him win in late November, December, January. These are the things that Tua needs to improve upon. And, of course, stay healthy and all that stuff. But, again, I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not Baba Vanga here. I can't predict the future. All I can say is when the Dolphins signed Tua, it was the best move for both franchise and quarterback. And I didn't feel that way last week. I didn't feel that way when I went to sleep that morning, not knowing that Tua was going to get signed. I didn't know I was going to feel that way until I actually saw the news break that Tua was signed to an extension by the Dolphins.
Well, I don't know if you boys saw this, but I had to pull this up here. We're going to take a look real quick. Let's see if you get sound here. Let me know if you do.
Yep.
We're going to need you guys to hype us up as high and keep the chants going. Let's go.
How about that?
That's my quarterback.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, I know there's been some mixed reaction about that. Some people are saying, "Oh, that's so cocky for him to go out there and talk to those fans who will never see even close to that much money in their lifetime," and him to say that. I think he's just having fun with it. I don't look at it as like it was not at all done with maliciousness. I think he's trying to have some fun with the fans, and good for him, man. Tua finally got paid. He deserves it. I don't think there's a bad thing about this guy. There's not a bad bone in his body. And, you know, I know we made some comments in the offseason just talking about, hey, like, the market is the market. And it is. Yeah, sure. Because then right after Keith, Jordan Love gets extended too.
Yeah. Like 3 hours
he got
later.
Even more money.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually, if you guys will indulge me, I brought up both of their contracts just so we can compare them dollar for dollar if you guys want to go real quick.
Take a look. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let me go ahead and I'll share my screen. Okay. Here.
By the way, hilarious videos being recommended after I played that. We have a mix of like cartoons from my daughter and then Pat McAfee show and other sporting things. Absolutely hilarious.
Okay. Can you guys see both contracts up?
Let's pull it up here. Here we go.
There you go.
Let's remove that overlay. All right. Let's take a look.
All right, sweet. So one of the ways you compare contracts is when they get their, like, how soon they get their money, how much they get at that time. So if we look down at over here, on the left, we have Tua's contract. On the right, we have Jordan Love's contract. Year 2024, Tua's only getting about $20 million.
Yeah, they're actually saving money on his
rookie deal. Yeah,
they're
on the rookie. Yep. So they pushed his big money hits into a little bit further into the future. So he's really not even, I mean, $20 million, he's moved into officially the Miami middle class.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Year one, Jordan Love immediately walks into $68 million. Tua's only got 20. Okay. All right, cool. Year two, Jordan Love's running totals up to 81. Tua's still only at 51.
Wow. Yeah,
year three, yeah. Year three, numbers go into 132 versus 126. I don't know why these numbers are inverted here. Like, I think they input this incorrectly. But oh no, because running cash is at the top here, and cash anyway. Yeah. So year three, 126 versus still 132. So he's still trailing after 3 years. 4 years into the deal, 175 to 163. And obviously there's an $8 million difference. So at the end, he's still up $8 million. But in every way that you can look at these two contracts, Jordan Love's deal is so much stronger than Tua's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
wow.
2 years in. Go ahead.
That's what I meant, Anthony, when I said that this was about as equitable of a deal as the Dolphins could have gotten from Tua.
Yeah.
This is as equitable of a deal as I could have hoped for.
Yeah.
I
mean, that number could have been a lot higher. So
it could have absolutely. He could have demanded significantly more money because, again, he could have just forced himself on a franchise tag a couple of times. But this is a very good deal from Tua to the Miami Dolphins, and it seems very reciprocal because you saw the Jordan Love deal, but like the gold standard of deals is still Joe Burrow's contract, which has like $100 million in like year one.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
That is
so,
insane.
It's a really, really good deal for the Miami Dolphins. Good deal for Tua to go ahead and get paid, stay in a team that respects his abilities and shows that he really wants to help build something there in Miami.
Yeah, and you also showed it on that chart there, Anthony. The Dolphins saved about $11 million in cap space this season that they can either roll over into next season or potentially go out and get a Justin Simmons or a little bit of depth at offensive guard, something like that. So it gives them just a little bit more flexibility moving forward. Again, no notes. I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, good stuff.
Happy for you, Keith. Happy for you.
Thank you.
I know you've had kind of a tough offseason with your Dolphins, and I'm glad to see that you feel okay about this move, because I feel like there's been a few that you're like,
the closer the season gets, it's hard to, it's like that Michael Scott meme. I'm ready to get hurt again. Closer the season gets, it's just the more optimistic I get, the more excited I get. Football's back in almost a month, babe, guys.
Football's back in 2 days, technically.
Well,
I really want to get
true. That's true. So, there's a lot to be excited about right now, to a contract being just one of many things.
Amen, brother. Yep. Want to go to the comments real quick here. So we have Mike popping out there. Good to see you guys. Glad to see a Bills rep back on the show. I know, Mike, it's been too long without a Buffalo Bills rep, so glad to be representing the Buffalo Bills here on the show. Heard there was some trash talk last week and the week before a little bit. So, hey, I got to come defend my honor a little bit here. Mike alluded to Anthony saying something about the Bills being down on them. I didn't hear it because I joined a little late on that show, and I did start rewatching it, but then I got distracted. So I apologize.
He may have mentioned that, Jake. He may have mentioned something about that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I plead the fifth.
Mike says, I like Tua. Glad he got paid. Players should get all they can if teams are willing to pay. Absolutely, yeah. The NFL stands for not for long, so Tua deserves it. And great job by the Dolphins. I mean, we were talking about him potentially having to have a $60 million plus a year contract. So you guys did a great job.
Yeah.
Congrats to Tua. I won't make 1/10,000th of that contract, Brett.
You and me both,
there, brother.
You and me both.
Yeah, I feel that. Man, for sure. Mad Chatter, good to see you out there. Thumbs up, boys. And Brett says, welcome back, Jake. We missed you. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. So I want to bring up something that Keith just mentioned like a little bit ago here, saying that the Dolphins could potentially go ahead and sign Justin Simmons. Well, the Buffalo Bills went ahead and signed his teammate from the Denver Broncos, Kareem Jackson. So great segue there. And I know Keith had voiced some displeasure of him being in the division because he's a quote unquote dirty player, which he has had some insanely dirty hits very recently too. And the fines are nutty. But I think it's an interesting move. So he signed a 1-year deal with the Bills. He's 36 years old. However, he's still a solid player, and he started quite a few games in the league at both corner and then converted to safety. So spent the majority of his career early on with the Texans. Then he went to the Broncos, and then he actually split time this year with the Broncos and the Texans. So now he's here in Buffalo, and I think a big reason of why he is here in Buffalo is because we saw Cole Bishop go down with an injury today. I don't know how concerning it is. I think it was a calf injury, and I think it's been bothering him for some time. So hopefully all is well there. I know Mike Edwards is already going to be out for a few weeks, so there's been a little concern there at the safety position. I think we can get away with it just because our front seven is so good. But of course, one of the biggest talks of the offseason, we lose Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. How are we going to replace those guys? Not looking so great, and we're pretty thin there already. So I like the move. I think it's okay. I think it's a good, obviously, I thought it was more so just for depth, but he may end up having to play a little bit for us. But the good news is he's got that veteran leadership, and he's pretty much a plug-and-play type guy who can do a decent job for you in the meantime. And hopefully Cole Bishop doesn't miss much time. Brett says 990,000 in fines / suspensions last season. Oh my gosh. Absolutely insane. And he said, Jackson practiced today. Move was made before Bishop's injury. So maybe it was in retaliation to Mike Edwards just being out for a few weeks. So interesting stuff.
What's going on with Michael Hyde? I know he hasn't signed anywhere else. Is he just done? Is that it?
He said Buffalo or nowhere. He's basically just going to retire. I could see him coming back as like a coach, like a player coach or something almost too.
Yeah.
I think that's still on the table for him. But yeah, he basically said it's either Buffalo or nowhere else. So love to see it.
Fair enough. I mean,
yeah.
Look, Kareem Jackson, he can still play. He's still got a little bit of juice left. But he is dirty, man. And it doesn't it doesn't thrill me to know that Tyreek Hill is going to be going across the middle and Kareem Jackson is going to be there waiting for him.
Sure.
Because Kareem Jackson will take his shots, man. And as evidenced by the $990,000 in fines last season.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to care very much
right.
whether he gets fined or not.
And those are the numbers there for you, too. I mean, as you can see, started a whole hell of a lot of games here in the NFL. And, I mean, as of recent, he's been a full-time starter with the Broncos at the strong safety position. Spent some time with both the Broncos and the Texans, as I mentioned last season. But, coming off a 53-tackle, 2-interception season, only playing in 10 games, that's pretty solid, honestly. And then the year before, 94 tackles and so on. So he's always been known as
that
a
defense
hard hitter.
Was terrible, though. Like,
They
that
were.
Denver defense was horrific for most of the season. I mean, a lot of Broncos fans were complaining about it, and that was before the Dolphins lit them up for 72.
Right.
Like, we're not talking about a particularly well-run team, so there's a lot of lot of leaky plays there. They were out for a lot.
You're absolutely right. And whenever you see a lot of tackles for a safety, that could either be a good thing or a bad thing. In this case, I think it was more of a bad thing. Him making a tackle 15 yards downfield, most likely.
Yeah.
Especially in that defense. But yeah, interesting move. Definitely had to bring it up. Had to talk about it a little bit. But Brett, thanks for the info there, brother. So another thing, Anth, first off, I want to ask you just about your Jets training camp and if you've heard anything and anything crazy that's been going on there. Hassan Reddick, what's the deal?
Yeah, the deal is very much the Hassan Reddick thing. Supposedly they met and had amicable talks. I don't know what even that means. He owes the team already something like $600,000 in fines.
Man.
Like, it's $50K a day plus like $300K for practices.
Wow.
Like, at this point, like, he's either going to show up and the Jets are going to give him a pay raise, which will pay for the fines, or he's going to retire. Because, like, what else can he do? The thing about the new CBA is that if you hold out for a contract, your contract holds. So you just, every year that you don't play on that deal, it just goes over for the next year, and then you have to pay back the fines. And then you can just never play again. Like, it's almost, I mean, I hate to put it this way, but it's almost indentured servitude the way that they've done the CBA. And that's a lot on the players for not fighting for the right things during the CBA. They're fighting for dumb stuff, the like fewer practices or stuff like, they to be able to smoke weed, even though in like more than half the states that they play in, it's legal anyway. So like they're fighting for like kind of silly stuff. And really like the encroachment by the league has been so much so that like every time they tighten the noose a little bit more for things like fines. Anyway, long story short, Hassan Reddick either shows up or he doesn't. The Jets will probably give him some kind of raise. The raise will pay for the fines. He'll miss the practices. He'll be back eventually. I have no idea. In terms of players that are showing out, every so often there's something from Malachi Corley. That's cool. You can't take too much out of the practices, especially stuff like the run game, because like you can't really hit anybody. So every time they're like, Braylon Allen's a beast, and it's like, yeah, nobody could tackle him.
Right.
Of course, like a big, powerful running back's going to knock people over when you can't tackle him, dude.
Yeah, it's not right.
I did hear that today, though, Jake.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. Players that are showing out, they keep showing like highlights of like Will McDonald a little bit. Like, hey, look, he beat Tyron Smith, but like he went the long way around, and like Tyron Smith was never really in danger, and like Aaron Rodgers just stepped up, and it wasn't a problem. So I don't know. We'll see. I keep my eyes around the rest of the NFL a lot. Just because like watching the Jets stuff is I have to see more Robert Saleh talk, and it drives me nuts. So besides that, I mean, I've been watching some Chop Robinson highlights. If Keith wants to talk about his boy, talk about my boy, his boy, our boy.
Well, Anthony, you and I got into it earlier on in the week on our Discord. If you guys are out there and you haven't joined, please do. And we have a great time there. We talk a lot of football, but Anthony is a much bigger fan of Chop than I am. And it's not even like I'm not a fan of Chops. It's more so he is raw. Like let's not get it twisted here. He's a raw pass rusher. He doesn't have a full excuse me. He doesn't have a full arsenal of pass rushing moves yet. And to say that he's fast. He's fast. He has a quick first step. He has a motor. He chases down plays from behind. I love that. These are great traits to have in an edge rusher. But let's not get it twisted. Chop Robinson's going to, against the Tyron Smith, he's going to go around the edge with his quick first step, and Tyron Smith's going to eat his lunch all afternoon because that's all he has. Let's just, now I think what he is, what Chop Robinson is he's a lump of clay, and it's up to the Dolphins coaching staff to mold him, and he has to grow up faster than he otherwise would have because Shaq Barrett retired on the Dolphins, and they brought back Emmanuel Ogbah, but Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, they're not going to be ready for the start of the season. Chop Robinson's going to have to grow up very fast in a big way, and it's going to be trial by fire. So look, I don't dislike Chop. He's just raw in a position of extreme need. And that's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. It's going to be a problem this season because I don't know that he's ready to be the full-time starting edge rusher for the Dolphins. Full-time, what they call a starting linebacker.
All right, just for 1 second. When we talk about raw, though, you're making it seem like this dude has never rushed a passer in his life.
No.
When you talk about raw prospects that are super athletes, because recently the NFL has drafted guys that are raw prospects that are super athletes that they have to turn into. Guys like Danielle Hunter were super raw, no production in college. Trayvon Walker, super raw, no production in college. Nolan Smith, super raw, freak athlete, no production in college.
No production in the pros either.
Trayvon Walker had 10 sacks last year.
I'm talking about Nolan Smith, Anthony.
Oh, okay.
It's his first year last year.
It was, but as a first-year player, he was already 24 years old. So that's not the best look. So when we're talking about raw, we're talking about guys. Does he have a full arsenal of pass rush moves? No, but almost nobody does. Very few prospects come into the NFL pro ready. The Bosa's are the ones that come off the top of my head.
Myles Garrett.
Aiden Hutchinson pretty much comes in off the top of my head. Myles Garrett wasn't all the way there his rookie year. He only had 5 or 6 sacks his rookie year. He wasn't even where the Bosa's were.
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack is just maybe one of the greatest pass rushers in the history of the NFL.
Oh, I love that.
Yep. So he's different. There are raw prospects. So when you call Chop raw, you have to put it in the context of he's raw compared to the best edge rushers that have come out in the last 10 years.
Right.
He's not raw in comparison to guys like Rashawn Gary, who never rushed the passer in his life. Yeah. If Chop can beat up bad offensive tackles, that's all you kind of need. Because the NFL is filled with bad offensive tackles. Aiden Hutchinson doesn't get 15 sacks against Tyron Smith.
I'm looking at the Bills, Deion Dawkins. I'm looking at the Jets, Tyron Smith.
Yeah, but they're going to move him to whatever matchup they can find that's more favorable. He's probably not going to rush off at Tyron Smith all the time. They'll probably move him to the other side and have him rush off of Morgan Moses. They'll probably move him over to the other side and have him run off of Spencer Brown. Yeah. He's going to get 4 sacks against the Patriots because they don't even have a tackle. There's enough bad tackles that Chop Robinson can be good.
No, my point is that what I wanted when you draft a guy like Chop, you don't expect him to play starters reps right away. You expect to kind of ease him in.
Fair.
And with the Dolphins, they don't have that luxury. Chop's going to have to start. He's going to have to play starters minutes. He's going to have to play starter snaps. And when you get a guy like Chop, who is, again, a lump of clay that the Dolphins need to mold, they're not going to be done molding him by the end of training camp. So eventually he's going to get exposed. And this Dolphins defense, there's not a lot of room for error here because they've lost guys like Christian Wilkins. They've lost, they lost Xavier Howard this offseason. This isn't going to be an easy, and everybody's learning a new scheme right now too. So there's not a lot of room for error here. I need somebody on the end who's a seasoned vet, a professional, a Shaq Barrett, I need a guy like that coming off the edge. And instead I have Chop Robinson, who's a rookie.
Let me put it another way though. He's going to be playing with a lot of leads. So it's not like he's going to be in situations where he has to like defend the edge against a 260-pound tight end or a fullback at 255 pounds barreling down at the edge. And he's not going to have to he's going to be a situational pass rusher. And most of the time the situation is going to be they have to score points because the Miami Dolphins didn't stop coming. Like Tyreek Hill can go for 100 yards in the first quarter. We know that.
Yeah,
there's going to be enough situations where he's just going to have to rush the passer. And I think in this circumstance, he's going to thrive. It's a similar situation to what Will Anderson had last year where CJ Stroud was putting up points for Houston.
That's actually true. I kind of like that analogy. I think Keith has some serious PTSD from the Deion Jordan days. I think that is really and here's the thing. The statistics in college are comparable. Deion Jordan, his best year, I think he did have a 7.5 season year, 7.5 sack season year, but it wasn't much other than that. And then he came in the NFL as the 3rd overall pick, which maybe was a reach at the time, but he had a freak combine. He ran 4.5 and did nothing in the NFL. So I think Keith is very hesitant still from that. And then when you see a guy like Chop, who's, I wouldn't say comparable, but in some ways he is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, athletically, they're both, quote unquote freaks, but not just Deion Jordan though, Jake. Charles Harris, and you guys are going to say, well, who's Charles Harris? Well,
I love Charles.
Exactly. That's who Charles Harris is. He was a nobody in the NFL. And he was drafted in the first round by the Dolphins. And when they drafted him, it was really, there are better players on the board available to you. And that's how I felt about Chop. Now, I would love to be wrong. But I still think the Dolphins should have gone interior offensive line with that first round pick. And, I want to be wrong, and I hope I am. But this was a position of need for the Dolphins, and they should have addressed it with free agency, not with the draft.
Yeah. By the way, Charles Harris did have a 7.5 season. I keep saying that 7.5 sack season in Detroit, but this was 2 years ago. Thought it was going to be a revitalization, but it really hasn't been.
And it was for Detroit. It wasn't for the Dolphins. For the Dolphins, he did nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, my dad coming in here, and I've heard nothing but great things. But speaking of other defensive ends, Von Miller supposedly returning back to form. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this. If he can get 5 sacks this year, I'll be a happy man. I think that would be a success because the way he looked last year, I think he had less tackles than most special teamers. It was bad. It was as bad as it gets. And he even admitted he shouldn't have been really out there playing, which is kind of a tough look to be saying that after the season. And it almost sounds like an excuse. But I think he has really made it a point this year, especially restructuring his contract, essentially making it more of a prove-it-year deal and, taking one for the team to give us some cap space. I think he definitely wants this team to succeed. He wants this team to win, and he's taking his rehab extremely seriously. So excited to hear that. It's good stuff. And how about Mike? How about this? Chop will have 10 sacks and win Rookie of the Year. Micah Parsons texted me and wanted me to relay this. Hilarious.
Well, thank you, Micah.
I just put in the chat the sports line right now on Chop Robinson is if you want to get in on that bet, you're looking at plus 1,700, baby.
Plus
1,700. Rookie.
Who's number one right now?
Year. Dallas Turner, and I think that's an absolutely terrible bet. That's 4-1. Then you got Leatu Latu. He's up there. Okay. Jared Verse is ahead of Chop. I'm not sure about that one. Terrion Arnold. Are you serious? Quinyon Mitchell? Maybe, but probably not. It takes a lot for a quarterback to win defensive rookie. We saw it with Sauce. It might not, but
they got to be exceptional.
You need the sacks. Byron Murphy's on the list at plus 1,400. And then you got Chop at plus 17. And then everything else is just weird, like Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
Who's already injured.
It's it's a weird year for defensive rookies too, because the first defensive rookie picked wasn't until about halfway through the draft. So
Yeah.
it's kind of up in the air on who's going to win it.
Absolutely.
Maybe Chop does win it. I hope he doesn't, but maybe.
I mean, plus 1,700. That is a pretty good bet if you think he gets 10 sacks.
Well, I mean, he's going to be playing starters reps, so it's not as outlandish of a bet as you might think. Like, maybe he can.
Keith, are you talking yourself into it?
No, I'm not. I'm talking other people into it, I suppose.
Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, they're both on the PUP list. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah,
They're on PUP list. Yeah,
I don't expect them before the first month of the season. I would expect them both back around October, mid-October, somewhere around there. I just, and even then, Von Miller saying he shouldn't have been back last year. Well, he suffered the same injury that Bradley Chubb suffered, and Jalen Phillips suffered a torn Achilles, which, saps a guy's explosiveness. So when these guys do come back, what kind of players are we looking at? Are we looking at Von Miller from last year? Because if that's the case, then just maybe sit the season out. We don't need that we don't need that.
The wasted roster spot.
Yeah. It is. So I'm wondering, and the Von Miller analogy here really is apt, because I don't know what kind of players these guys are going to be when they come back. It's a little, it makes me feel really apprehensive about these guys coming back, because I don't want a Bradley Chubb who can't move like Von Miller couldn't move last year. I don't want a Jalen Phillips without explosiveness. A Jalen Phillips without explosiveness, well, you've just taken away what makes this guy special. You've just taken away what makes this guy an NFL player, an NFL edge rusher. So, again, they're going to be leaning on Chop.
Especially with the scheme that you guys run, too. You run a 3-4, so those guys are stand-up edge rushers. So you talk about explosiveness. I feel like even more so in that type of scheme, you need him to be quick off the ball and explosive. Like,
exactly.
As a D end, it's a little different when you're putting your hand in the ground and stuff like that. I mean, obviously there's some different types of explosiveness, right? So yeah, I'm curious to see how that recovery goes and how he does this season, or if he even does suit up this year. When did he tear? Was that the Black Friday game? Keith?
So that was Jalen Phillips tore his Achilles in the Black Friday game, and Bradley Chubb tore his ACL Titans in December. I want to say it was the Titans game, Monday night Titans game, but I'm not entirely sure about that one. It was during a game when it might have bbeen the Ravens game, actually, when they were just getting blown out, and Bradley Chubb had no business being out there in the first place, and then he tears his ACL, and it's like, all right, we got our teeth kicked in by the Ravens, and we lost Bradley Chubb for this season. That was a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, that's rough. That is rough for sure. Yeah.
Am I having a fever dream, or did the NFL push back the trade deadline by like a week or two this year?
That I actually don't know. I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, I don't know if I saw anything about that.
The reason I'm bringing that up in the top of my head is that, like, if you guys are if the Dolphins are on a playoff trajectory, do you see the Dolphins trading for another pass rusher again this year?
Yeah, I could see that happening. Depending on how Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb come back, I could. And again, this reduction into his cap hit gives them the flexibility to make a move like this. It's just, they got $11 million extra in cap space, and they already had, I think $5 or $6 million. So they can go out there and trade for, I don't know who's going to be available at that time, but they can go out there and trade for a pass rusher, and guy might be a rental, guy might be a long-term solution, because I know Jalen Phillips is going to be playing on his 5th-year option next season.
Yep.
They have options. They have plenty of options, and I can totally see them doing that, Anthony.
And you're right, by the way, Anthony. Yes, they did approve. The NFL owners approved an amendment to push the 2024 trading deadline to the Tuesday after Week 9 games. So it'll be November 5th. It was previously October 31st last year, and then previously it was always after week 8. So now it's after week 9. So
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
Good call.
They did it just to specifically benefit teams that are in contention. Give them one more week to figure out whether or not they want to buy.
I like that move, actually. I think that's a smart
It's
play.
just a quality of life improvement.
For sure.
It is. And trades aren't something that typically happen in football, but the Dolphins seem to be involved in a lot of them lately.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely do. Jake, good to see you out there, brother. Bill's Bunker. Make sure you guys go check out his channel. He does some amazing shorts. Some great Instagram reels, too. I love them. I live for it. It's always on my timeline. It must know the algorithm, just knows that I love your content, brother. So great stuff. Bill's Bunker. He's been on the show before. Shout out to you, Jake. He's from the Great North. Our friends from the North, Toronto, just outside Toronto.
Oh, okay. All right. Go Blue Jays.
Huge Bills fan. He is a Leafs fan though too. Unfortunately, I'm a Sabres fan, so that's kind of tough. But he loves the Buffalo Bills, and I'm good with that. That's all that matters. And he loves barbell too. He tried some barbell wings, and he had the Josh Allen Guinness. It puts it's pretty cool. So what they do is the foam on top, they have an image of Josh Allen actually hurdling a defender inside the foam. It's pretty cool. So very Buffalo style.
How do they create that effect?
I actually don't know.
Is it the same way they do the espressos? Does it come out brown on top? Where they
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, good to see you, Jake. Absolutely. Well, guys, part of the show was to also talk about the Madden ratings that have been revealed thus far, and it's only been a few different position groups. And I don't know if you guys play a ton of Madden, but Anthony was sending some things in the Discord chat the other day, and I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let's get the people hyped up a little bit. College Football 25 came out. It was my pleasure to actually go ahead and buy it. For the first time in 10 years or 11 years, we had a college football game come out. So I've been playing that while I can. I take the night shift with the baby boy. So, I have him down in my arms. I'll play a little CFB 25 because when you got 2 kids running around the house, it's not going to be possible to play any video games, most likely. So I'm taking advantage of it while I can. But while I was at it, I also bought Madden 25 because I figured, you know what, we got to maybe because CFB 25 came out, maybe Madden will elevate their game. Now, I, for one, have not been a big fan of Madden since maybe 2008. I actually haven't bought a Madden game other than this year, probably since I actually didn't even buy last year's game. I did receive it as a Christmas present, much appreciated from Big Al because he's like, you got to have it. Josh Allen's on the cover. Didn't really play it, though. It's just, it never lives up to the hype, and they have removed so many features, and EA has done such a disservice to loyal players like myself, who back in the days of 2004, they had all the great things that you could do on that game. You can create a team, do minicamp, everything, right? Like, it was awesome.
Spent so much time on the 2004 game. My wife has this song on her playlist. Oh, you're such a bleeping hypocrite. And that song. There was like 4 or 5 songs that would play on loop, and my wife has like 3 of them on her playlist. And I was like, "Oh, this is Madden." She's like, "What the hell
Madden?
are you talking about?"
Yeah, that was another thing too. The soundtracks, like, there's so much nostalgia that goes into it. So again, I'm hoping this year's game, because of CFB 25 setting the standard that they did, maybe Madden will elevate their game finally, and it could be something worth playing. But it's always interesting to see the ratings. So I'm going to pull those up right now, and I'm going to start with Anthony's Jets here. So 1 second. Let's see what we got.
So it's funny that you mentioned Madden 2004. Those old Maddens and stuff. One of my favorite things to do back in the day with those Maddens, because I had PlayStation 2, I think it was what I had it with.
Yes.
I would I'd start up a franchise with the Rams, and then I'd trade for Michael Vick.
Dude.
And then I'd say I'd put my passing maxed out, and I'd have my conservative offense all the way down at the bottom, and I just sim to see the kind of stats that Michael Vick would put up. And it was something like 5,700 passing yards, because obviously you had Torrey Holt, you had Isaac Bruce, you had Marshall Faulk, and then he'd run for another 1,200 yards.
Yeah. He was unstoppable in that game.
The greatest show on turf became the most unstoppable show on turf. Like, that's just not even fair. Yeah. I love it.
So,
well, here we go, Anth.
Yeah.
This is
Here's the thing. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on Madden for at least now what they do, because all of the players' ratings now, and this is going to spoil things for you, they're what their end of season's ratings were last year. They don't ever update from the end of season the previous year to the new year. So the ratings reveals are really just this way of like publishing a whole bunch of crap that they're really lazy. They're just extremely lazy. And if you want to see the traits for rookies, you just go into their foot cards from last year. Because every year after the combine comes out, they put out all the rookies. It's the same traits and everything. They're so lazy about things. So the reason why we're looking at a system where like Mike Williams is lower rated than Garrett Wilson, it's because the Jets were a bad team last year and they lower everybody's ratings to make sure that it reflects in the team's schedules. That's why Garrett Wilson's only an 85 and Mike Williams is an 87. That's why Breece Hall is only an 84. He's the 16th highest running back. Does anybody in the world think that Breece Hall is the 16th best running back in the NFL? I don't think
he's top 5.
Not. Yeah.
Chuck Clark
that is
the 5th highest rated New York Jet despite not even playing last year.
Right? Yeah. Now I will say this too. So quarterbacks are not in this yet. They just have D tackles, receivers, running backs, safeties, and I think defensive ends.
Yeah.
And I want to
absolutely.
say that's it. Yeah.
So we don't have quarterbacks yet. We don't have offensive linemen. We'd obviously get we'll have a 95 Tyron Smith. He'll be out there. The thing about Madden when I was talking about the fact that they're lazy, they're also weird. So last year, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt week 1.
Right.
Week 4, they drop him 2 points. Week 6, they raise him up 2 points. As the season goes on, he goes up and down despite the fact that he didn't play at all.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
No, but they adjust ratings because I think that they have they're trying to get to a certain threshold. So teams players on better teams, random guys will get boosted up. John Franklin Myers got down to a 76 after starting the year at 81 or 82, and he had 7 sacks last year.
That is
so it's Madden cannot be relied on to give you an idea of how good teams actually are in the NFL.
I forgot you guys even got Tariq Cohen. That's interesting too. Yeah.
He's going to be a kick returner for us.
Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. It's always cool to see. Well, now that you told me that really
Sorry, I spoiled it.
You talk about deflating a balloon. I was so pumped. I'm like, this is always fun. I like seeing the ratings, but now that I know that it's basically just based off of last year's ending ratings, that makes it so much less fun. Unbelievable.
It's point for point. And then you get excited about the rookies, but then like I said, they build the rookie cards for foot the year before. So the first and second round, sometimes third round prospects, they're already built for them. So you don't know what their ratings are, but you do have an idea how good a player is going to be. Because Madden these days is more about the traits, especially for quarterbacks, than it is their actual ratings. You can have a really well-traded quarterback and a really poorly traded quarterback, and at the same time, one can have a higher rating, the other one can have a lower rating, and the better traded quarterback is going to be better. They've built, I'll spoil this one. If you like Madden, you want to build a franchise, the New England Patriots are a good one. They built Drake May to be a simulation god.
Really?
Okay.
So his overall skyrocket.
Yeah, they have built him to be insane. Super high throwing power immediately. He's got ideal pocket presence. He's got ideal sense of pressure. Everything that they can give him to be good, he's good. JJ McCarthy, they're a lot more down on.
Interesting.
That makes 2 of us.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, quarterback 1 from Minnesota.
They are saying he kind of looks like the front runner right now, even in real life.
Yeah, no, I think he's gonna be the quarterback there, and who knows what happens with that offense.
You know what's surprising me is so Russell Wilson got hurt at Steelers minicamp, and Mike Tomlin's been saying, and maybe this is what he should be saying, but he's been saying that it's not guaranteed that Russell Wilson gets that starting job. Justin Fields might win that job. That's what Mike Tomlin's been saying. And look, if that happens, I still stand by my Steelers as a sleeper team that people are sleeping on this season. And whether it's Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, the Steelers are going to be a tough out all season long.
What they did in the draft was extremely impressive. I thought their
Yeah.
first 3 rounds were as fine of a first 3 rounds as I've seen in some years.
Oh, I agree completely. I love what
I
they
did see
in the draft.
Roman Wilson, though. He got carted off today in practice with a
Did
foot
he?
injury.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, he did.
tough. That hurts. Yeah.
They went Fatanu round 1. Who they drafted in round 2?
Zach Frazier,
Zach Frazier. Yeah.
the center.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He was a guy I liked. He was a guy I wanted the Dolphins to draft.
Yeah.
Beat the dead horse with that one. But yeah. I love what the Steelers did in the draft this year.
That's pretty good. Any of these overalls that are like totally way off course here, Ant, that you think?
I mean, Brees is too low. 84.
So Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson too.
Another
Right?
one
Both of them.
super low.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you could make an argument maybe. I mean, Alan Lazard's too high. 75. That dude is terrible. He's unstartable. Ashton Davis, 74, probably right. Javon Kinlaw's. I think Tony Adams a bit low because Chuck Clark's the starter, but Tony Adams is the other starter, and he's lower than Ashton Davis,
Right.
who's like a third safety for us. Malachi Corley, he's a 3rd-round pick, so I get it. I feel like Sally's always underrated.
He is underrated. I agree with that.
He's a situational player for the Jets, but like he gets pressures.
Yeah.
Solomon Thomas is defensive tackle, the guy who was drafted by the 49ers.
Absolutely tiny defensive tackle. Yes, 254-pound defensive tackle. Put some name on and put some respect on his name.
For sure. Yeah.
That is
David
low.
Gibson. Who else do we got on here? Michael Clemens, Deion Dawkins' favorite person in the world.
Yeah, they're pals.
I
mean,
always
that's
like
about
seeing
it.
the rookie. Yeah,
I
I always
wish-
like seeing the rookie ratings too.
I wish Irv Charles would get rated a little bit higher because he is a special teams GOAT, but he's just a special teams GOAT. So
I love that.
yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, again, we don't have too many positions to go for, and so we'll see.
We'll take a look at the Dolphins. See what we got going on here. Now
First
I do know,
99.
I was going to
Only
say
99.
the 99 Club right here, Tyreek Hill. So that is
Click into
Yeah, I love
Tyreek Hill. Just click on his name. Go ahead. There we go. 99 speed, 98 acceleration, 98 agility, 99 awareness.
yeah.
I mean,
Put him at quarterback.
no, in all honesty, though, Anthony, like, maybe awareness is a little bit high, but speed 99, acceleration 98, agility 98. He is a human cheat code on the field in real life.
98 juke move.
Yeah, it makes sense that he would be a 99 in Madden. I don't hate the rating. I might sound like a homer here, but I think, it makes sense that he's a 99.
I saw that Justin Jefferson was at like a 98 just below
Yes.
us. Do you think Tyreek is a better receiver than Justin Jefferson?
I
don't know if I do.
I think Tyreek's traits translate better to a video game than Justin Jefferson's do.
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
His speed, his agility, his acceleration, like they just translate better than Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is a better route runner. He's a better, but to say that Justin Jefferson's better than Tyreek Hill or Tyreek Hill is better than Justin Jefferson, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to try and tear one down and build the other one up. They're both excellent at their jobs, but they do different things on the football field.
Yeah, they're different. Right. Yeah. Now, how about these? We got Jordan Poyer, 86. Now, again, this is going off of last year, but 86, I feel like that's this is not Jordan Poyer from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So that's
a little
interesting.
high.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raheem Mostert, 86.
86.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
Jalen Waddle's a little low,
I love this is the most, this might be the signing of the offseason for you here, Keith.
Yeah.
Calais Campbell.
I was
Great move
thrilled
by
when it broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was absolutely thrilled.
Mhm.
And you talk about that, defensive end who's going to have his hand in the dirt. There he is, right there, Calais
That's
Campbell.
your guy.
Yep.
Still playing at a high level, 39 years old, something like that.
Yeah, I think
Crazy.
he's 37, 38, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great signing, and he's gonna be a leader for that defensive line room. I loved it, and I didn't feel good about the defensive line going into the season. Still don't feel wonderful about them. I feel a lot better now that Calais Campbell's there, though.
All right. Well, here's the most important rating, Mr. Braxton Berrios. I don't know why it doesn't pull up there we go. I have to click on it a few times for it to pop up. But yeah, Braxton Berrios. Let's just talk about this because it's a running inside joke here. We started this a few months ago talking about how many catches Braxton Berrios was going to register for the Miami Dolphins this year. And as the Dolphins acquired more and more receivers, they go and sign Odell Beckham. Then they, of course, draft Malik Washington. And you guys got some other players, too, in addition.
Yeah.
And it looks like the amount of catches that Braxton Berrios is going to potentially have. We set it at 40. This is like back in March. This is a long time ago, right?
Before the draft.
It was set at like 40 and a half. And I was betting the over because I'm like, you know what? Bounce back here. It's time. Everyone's been hyping him up. He looks great. Like, good looking gal with them, too. Like, things are going well down in Miami. It's his time to shine. And what do? They go ahead and draft Malik Washington, who's probably going to – I think that was a steal, too, in the 6th round. I can't believe you guys were able to snag that. That's incredible. But, yeah, so we have to look at his rating, 74. Now, I do want to know what they rated Malik Washington because, in my opinion,
he's probably
outside of Malachi Corley, 69. Nice.
Yeah.
There it is. River Craycraft, too. Wow. Yeah.
He caught a long touchdown pass. He's
caught a touchdown pass against the Bills, actually. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but yeah.
Him and Tua are always in sync. There's a reason why River Craycraft continues to make the Dolphins, even though he's kind of underwhelming athletically and him and Tua just they've got this they're simpatico, those two.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, there's your boy, Patrick McMorris, a guy that wasn't even on your draft board.
Yeah. Wasn't on anybody's draft board. Jake, you were scouting safeties all off season. You didn't know who this guy was.
Didn't even know who it was. Yeah. Crazy, man. Yeah. Yeah,
Elijah
interesting
Campbell,
stuff.
Special teams goat. Taj Washington, he's already on IR.
Is he?
He's done for the year. Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. Anthony Schwartz, this dude is fast as hell.
Yeah. He was running track at Auburn.
Yeah.
Super fast guy in a straight line. Just can't catch a cold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
Yep. Such a bummer that Anth, I'm so upset now that I know that. I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, we get the ratings reveal. And of course, EA in typical fashion just disappoints, as always.
Again.
Yeah, they're lazy. If there's a lazy way to take it, they'll do it.
They will. All right, this is for Chris. We're going to look at your New England Patriots. And by the way, did you hear about Christian Barmore, guys? Blood clots.
Really?
Yeah. So he was taken to the hospital, and they wanted to obviously assess him, make sure everything was good, but he's going to be out for a little bit now indefinitely just to get that under control. I think they were in his calves or something like that, or in his legs.
Whenever I see blood clots for a dude that's like 20-something, this usually happens to offensive linemen in general. I always and this is just like the cynical part of my brain, I think EPO. EPO is the drug that Lance Armstrong took. It's a blood thickener that they take that gives them much better stamina because it gives them more access to more blood, more red blood cells, carries more oxygen from the lungs to the. But there's blood clots, in the general population, blood clots are so rare for somebody that's young.
Yeah.
That that's one of the performance enhancing drugs and it always seems to happen to linemen. That seems to come up over and over again. It's happened to 3 Jets in the last 5 years or so. Yeah. But I do wonder how prevalent that is. Anyway, sorry, Christian Barmore.
Yeah. No, I mean it could very well be. You don't know. It just sad situation, of course. You hate seeing stuff like that. I mean, whenever I hear blood clot, I just get like, I get the shivers because I just think like, oh, that's just got to be, it's got to be an awful feeling. And of course, it makes you worry a little bit. It's like, man, if this could happen to a freak athlete like that, I mean, look at me. I eat like absolute crap, so I'm sure, I'm susceptible. But like you said, Anth, maybe if he is taking that, then maybe there's a reason for it. So yeah, definitely interesting.
But yeah, Christian Barmore, 78 rated. That's
that's low.
That's the thing. That's Madden they will dock players on bad teams because they struggle to make teams bad, so they have to drop their ratings super low. Christian Barmore should be like an 85 at least.
He's one of their better players.
He's one of the better players in the division.
Top 3 player. I mean, really. Yeah.
I think he's one of the top 10 in the NFL as a defensive tackle. Like,
absolutely.
The pressure he was getting last year is ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. B-Bake, Danico Autry was rumored to have 99 strength in the original ratings after attending the Alex Rodriguez Biogenesis Clinic. Now he's suspended for 6 games. I know, brother. That's a tough hit for you guys. Hell of a ball player, suspended for 6 games. I know you're a Texans fan. It's really tough, man. You guys went out and got a good one in him, and then, of course, this comes up. So, hate to see it. Puka, good to see you out there. Go Bills. I know what I'm saying. I know what you're saying, brother.
Where's Matt Judon in these ratings? Why isn't he?
So they don't. Yeah, no linebackers yet. So they just have ends, D tackles, receivers, running backs, and safeties. I believe.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I know he's officially holding out now.
Yeah. Him and Gerard Mayo not getting along so well. The receivers in New England are just it is insane.
It's a bad group for sure.
Let's go take a look at this real quick. Who is going to be the leading receiver in New England this year? Is it going to be a rookie? Is it going to be Demario Douglas? I actually like Demario Douglas a lot. Henry Bourne just got paid again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Juju's underwhelming.
Juju's so bad. That dude is still collecting paychecks from his Pittsburgh Steelers days.
Yep.
That's the only thing.
He actually did okay in Kansas City, and then he just fell off the face of the earth.
He had like 1 trillion targets. It took him. He was so inefficient.
Yeah, that's true. As 50-50 as it gets. Yeah.
So it's not. I've seen Jalen Reagor make a couple good catches. All right, let's talk about Javon Baker for a second because his highlights will be popping up all over the NFL. All right, you see it on Twitter, and he's going absolutely bad. He's going nuts. From what I did, a little bit of investigating, a lot, because I don't care about the Patriots. But from what I can tell, from what a couple of reporters were saying, is that he is making these catches, but he's running with the 3rd and 4th string teams.
Well, that
so
makes a difference.
He's beating up the 3rd and 4th team cornerbacks, which you sort of understand because he is a 50-50 receiver, 50-50 ball receiver. He is a big, strong target and whatnot, and you can't really be as physical right now in camp, so they kind of look a little bit better. Right. But we still need to acknowledge maybe there's something there. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
go ahead.
And I was going to say, I have a great question for you, a burning question, if you will. Now that we looked at the New England Patriots receiver room here, who do you think is going to have better ratings? I have not looked at the Bills ones yet. Do you think the Bills receiving core has better ratings than the Patriots?
I've looked at both, so I'm not going to answer the question.
Oh, boy.
All right. Well,
let's take a look.
Yeah.
What do you think, Keith?
I think the Bills are going to have better ratings.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that confidence. Let's take a look. So 80 was the highest. Okay. All right. Curtis Samuel with an 80. I like that. MVS with a 77.
Yeah, that's bad. That's brutal.
All right. Dude, you know what? I love this. Let's chip on our shoulder, okay? Because Khalil Shakir is one of the more underrated receivers in football. And I will die on that hill. KJ Hamler, 73. Keon Coleman, 73. Cheapers. Keon has been having a fantastic camp. And again, take that with a grain of salt. We're just starting to put the pads on Thud a little bit. but supposedly the chemistry between him and Josh has looked great. So I am encouraged, and this dude catches everything thrown his way. But you could say that about every rookie receiver out there because every team is posting highlights of, the Chiefs are doing it with Xavier Worthy and the Patriots with Javon Baker. So, yeah.
Click on Keon Coleman real quick.
Yeah, let's take a look.
87 speed, 88 agility, 88 acceleration, 87 agility.
Jumping 94, though.
There you go.
10 tuds this year, maybe?
Change direction.
I like Kia, man. I am hopeful. Apparently, he is the wide receiver one for us. So listen. He's gonna go out there. He's gonna go. I'm gonna give you the numbers right now. 55 catches, 725 yards, 10 touchdowns.
10 touchdowns.
And I'll consider that a success. Yep.
10 touchdowns.
Yep.
It's a big number.
I know it. Josh Allen has not had a red zone threat receiver, a guy that can go up, jump ball guy, since Kelvin Benjamin. And Kelvin Benjamin did not want to play football when he was here in Buffalo. So, you look at the makeup of the receiving core this year, it's a totally different makeup than it was in previous years in terms of the size alone. We got guys, and I know they're not household names, but you look at some of the dudes that we have on the roster right now, and Matt Collins and
Chase Claypool,
Tyrell Shavers, Chase Claypool, guys that are a little bit bigger bodied. So I'm curious to see how it translates to this offense. And I think one of the things that Joe Brady's put a lot of emphasis on is blocking. So these dudes are going to go out there. The run game is going to be extremely important for us this year. And I'm okay with that. I think you give Josh Allen a run game, he becomes even a little more dangerous, right? So I get it. We don't have that top tier wide receiver anymore in Steph Diggs, but I think the offense, again, Josh will still put up the same numbers, just in a totally different way.
I'm going to lean heavily on James Cook this season, I think. James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, those two guys are going to be paramount to your success offensively.
Absolutely. And Ray Davis, don't sleep on him.
Yeah.
Hell of a rookie back.
Yeah.
Love what I'm seeing from the kid. Very interesting, though. Yeah, let's see who else. Let's take a look at just the overall players here, too, because I want to see. Okay, that's criminally low for Eddie Oliver. I think 82 that's a terrible rating for him. James Cook at 81 too. I feel like he should be a touch higher than that. I'd go 85 maybe.
85. Samuel
Eddie Oliver,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Daquan Jones, he should probably be a little higher.
Yeah.
Valdez Scantling should be lower.
Right? Yeah, 77. It's almost generous.
Yeah.
Cole Bishop, Harrison Smith 2.0 now again.
74 is pretty high for like a third round pick.
He's a late second rounder, almost a third rounder.
All right, 74 for a late second round pick safety is pretty high.
Yeah. Actually, higher rating than Keon Coleman. That's
yeah.
I do think in terms of being more pro ready, Cole Bishop as a football player was more pro ready. Although I don't know what's going on, but he's banged up right now, so hopefully he's okay. Chase Claypool at a 72, Ray Davis at a 72. Wow. Ty Johnson also going to miss some time, supposedly, too. He got a big.
Now that you mentioned it, Braxton Berrios is higher rated than Keon Coleman. How you feeling about that?
Yeah. I think that's criminal. Well, Keon Coleman's a rookie. He hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
So. But
Braxton Berrios proven that he's Braxton Berrios.
You know what, though? As an almost first-round pick.
Talent.
Yeah, that's a little tough. That is a little tough. Man. Well, you know what? EA can go screw themselves.
Yes.
I'll tell you what.
They got your money.
Am I regretting purchasing Madden? Maybe. But I did it. So, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, it's a sliver better than what it was in previous years. And hopefully they took some inspiration from CFB 25. But
are you enjoying college football?
I love it, dude.
Really?
It is so good. Yeah, it's fun.
I only have a PC, and it didn't come out for PC. I don't understand.
I can't understand that because I feel like there's been a shift. Mm-hmm. People have kind of pivoted from console gaming to now PC gaming because you can do everything on the PC.
Yes.
So I don't understand that. I feel like it's got to be in the works in the future. They have to do something about that.
By next year, they have to release it in PC for sure.
Yeah.
Keep my fingers crossed, because then we could start an online dynasty. That'd be kind of fun,
Bro.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Cool.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fun.
I actually did one. So we all picked a Mountain West team. So I have UNLV. My buddy Timmy, who you guys know, he comes on the show every once in a while. Yeah. He got stuck with San Jose State, and then my other buddy Nate got stuck with New Mexico. And he's like, dude, New Mexico is rough. It is tough to win football games as a New Mexico Lobo. But I love UNLV, brother. We're bringing them back to the Randall Cunningham days. We got this kid who's an absolute stud receiver. Gosh. He's like an 89 overall.
Oh.
I don't know a whole lot about him, but put up some numbers last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool, because the thing is, now you have this NIL stuff, all the players signed off. So it's all the actual players in the game too. So you can kind of learn a little bit. You want to get a little early jump start on potential draft picks for next year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of a cool way to study up on that too. So
nice.
But all right, boys. Well, hey, this has been fun. First show back. We got it done before 9:00. I promised my wife, I said, listen, hard stop at 9, no matter what. We're at 8:43 right now. I mean, I'm sure we could drag this on for another 17 minutes, but I am going to go to each of you for some closing thoughts. So I'm going to start with Anth. Any closing thoughts from you, sir?
Only closing thought I have is just don't tell her. Turn around, log on to CFB for the next 15 minutes. You've earned yourself the work.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's listen, that's a huge veteran move right there. Love that. Keith, you got anything?
No. Yeah, I'm just excited. As the summer comes to an end and we get closer to football, to fantasy football, I'm just super pumped. And the Tua signing just helps me get even more pumped.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a breath of fresh air for you, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. I think it was the right play for you guys. And instead of holding out and maybe hoping that you get a guy like Dak Prescott, who he has his own question marks, and you're going to pay him a lot of money, right? So I think it's the right move. And
Absolutely.
You got your coach, you got your quarterback. Like, that's got to feel pretty good right now.
It does. Dolphins are in a good spot. And now they can just focus on winning football games, focus on maximizing the talent on this roster, and there's a lot of talent. The Dolphins can compete for a Super Bowl this year. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. So now they can focus on that rather than a contract for Tua.
Well said. 100% agree. B-Bake, sorry I didn't get to this comment. He said MVS is one of those guys that on paper, based on pure athletic metrics, should absolutely be elite. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And he had some moments in Green Bay. Kansas City had a lot of drops, had a lot of tough drops, but when it counted most, it seemed like he actually came up with the catches. So like in the playoffs last year against the Ravens, he had 2 clutch catches for them. So
it's like you saying that that's like when Shaq says, I make them when they matter.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
well put. Oh, yeah. And let's talk about this a little bit too, fellas. In 2 days, we have football back on TV. Texans Hall of Fame game this Thursday. Texans and Bears. Andre Johnson. Dude, you know what? I was watching some tape on Andre Johnson. By the way, shameless plug. If you go onto our Nickel City Mafia channel, you can go to a short that I created. This is a while back. This is before Andre Johnson was selected for the Hall of Fame. Made a video on him and why he was one of the more underrated superstar receivers that played in the league. Guy was incredible. Did so many amazing things. Yeah, good for Andre, man. And he did it quietly. Like, he played in the league amongst some dogs, but still put up the numbers and still did things when he had the likes of TJ Yates, David Carr, Jake Delhomme when he was 39 years old on his last leg. He did have Matt Schaub for a few years. Matt Schaub led the league in passing. But yeah.
Make it seem like Matt Schaub was at this level playing Matt Schaub.
Pro Bowl quarterback. I would argue that Matt Schaub became a Pro Bowl quarterback because of Andre Johnson and Dylan Daniels, Arian Foster, some of those guys. But yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up Andre Johnson, because I was just thinking the other day, I saw somebody on Twitter talk about how Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson were the best wide receiver duo in the history of college football, and immediately, like I always, because they always talk about how great that LSU team was, and it was phenomenal. But that Miami team, Reggie Wayne and Andre Johnson, and let's not pretend like that team was pass focused.
Dude,
I mean, the top three running backs on that team were like Willis McGahee, like Frank Gore was running back 3 or 4, Clinton Portis. Like that team was absolutely disgusting.
Najee Davenport, Jarrett Payton.
Najee Davenport was the freaking fullback. He was the fullback.
Yep. Crazy. And they had 3 first-round tight ends in a row. They had
tight end.
Jeremy Shockey, Kellen Winslow, who, obviously a terrible human being, but great
Jonathan Vilma at linebacker. Bryant McKinney at tackle. Like that team was so ridiculous. The cornerbacks were like Philip Dorsett and there's another one. I forget. Yes.
Philip Buchanan, Antrell Roll. They had trying to think of who else. There was another kid. Ahmed Plummer, was it? No.
Yes. No, it wasn't Plummer. He
was Ohio State guy or Pitt guy. But there was someone else there, though. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on. It's like I think the first 17, or there were 17 first rounders on that team in like 2002 or something.
Ed Reed was on that team.
Yeah. Oh wow, Ed Reed. Yeah.
Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, they were loaded, man. Loaded.
Sean Taylor.
Yep.
Speaking of Madden 2004, Sean Taylor was
there. You go,
a man in that game.
Yeah.
Yep. His rookie year, wore number 36 his rookie year. Then he switched to 21.
Yep.
And then he wore it was, dude, so much. You talk about swag. Like he had some swag with what he the tape on the helmet and all that. Like it was awesome.
All right, we're gonna go for way past our budget at this time.
I know. This is the problem. Yeah. I love whenever we start reminiscing.
Yeah.
Like that's my favorite thing in the world.
How we get there?
We're getting nostalgia now.
Yeah, it's an absolute dream. But all right, boys. Well, hey, thank you to everyone that has watched. My first show back. This is a beautiful thing. I appreciate you too. Training camp in full swing. Football in 2 days. Life is good, baby. This is the first week of football, and it'll be football throughout February. The second week of February. Think about that. Every single week.
I love
Unbelievable. Yeah.
I love it.
So be sure to give us a like, comment after the show if you feel so inclined. Subscribe, and we appreciate everyone watching out there tonight. You guys have a fantastic one. And hold on, B-Bake. Let me get to you. I saw you get in here. Not to drag this thing too long, but for some homework, y'all should look. Oh, dude, I know that Texas and USC game, they were loaded as well. Lendell White, Reggie Bush. Was Dwayne Jarrett on that team? Mike Williams, Matt Leinart. They were, they were nuts. Brian Cushing, Ray Malaga. Ray Maluga. Yep. Oh yeah, they were sick. Good stuff. And then Texas, of course, too. They were loaded too. Cedric Benson, Vince Young. Gosh, crazy.
Roy Williams.
I don't know if he was on that team though. He was on that Texas team, but not on the 2006 one because he was in the NFL at that point. He got drafted in 2004.
Yeah.
But yes, gosh, you're bringing me back. I love it, B-Back. Thank you, brother. All right, guys. Hey, it was a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Good night to you all.
Likewise.
Go Bills.
Fins up.
Take flight.
Take care, guys. Have a great night. Go Bills.